Hi crafty friend, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Adrienne Bosey of Alice Scraps Wonderland. In this tutorial, I share how to cover your MDF shapes with embossed cardstock and what my favorite adhesive is for this technique. Plus, you'll get to see how I add even more dimension to layered MDF shapes. So let's dive into this tutorial. Today, I'm using the Lacy Leaves 3D Texture Fade designed by Eileen Hull for Sizzix. This embossing folder has a classic design that is perfect for year-round creating and comes in the larger A5 size. I'll be embossing this deep orange cardstock from the Sizzix Revealz Spiced set, which is the perfect orange pumpkin color. And for my project base, I'm using the Pumpkin Time MDF shape from the mixed palette. It comes with a base shape and layering pieces. As always, I'll have all of the supplies listed in the description box below for you. Start by trimming down some of the cardstock to fit both the pieces of MDF you want to cover and the size of your embossing folder. For 3D embossing folders, it's important that you spritz both sides of your cardstock with water. This will help the fibers of the paper stretch and mold better and minimize any cracking or tearing. Then place your cardstock in your embossing folder and run it through your machine with the correct sandwich. I used my Big Shot switch for this. Once all of your pieces of cardstock are embossed, set them aside to air dry. This shouldn't take long. In the meantime, let's prep our MDF. To get paint and adhesive to stick, you want to prime your MDF with gesso. I'm using Finn's clear gesso, but you can also use white or black. Make sure that you paint the edges of your MDF shapes as well. For this project, I want the base of the pumpkin to be black. Because I used clear gesso, I opted for the Sizzix Creamy Matte Acrylic in black to paint the base shape of the pumpkin with. Again, don't forget to paint the edges as well, then set this aside to dry. Next, work on cutting out the embossed cardstock to fit the MDF layer shapes. Flip both the cardstock and MDF shape over so the back side is facing up. Trace around the shape with a pencil to make the outline. I also found it helpful to number each shape and its corresponding cardstock piece to help me keep track of which piece is which. Using some sharp scissors, cut the traced shape out. Now that you are done tracing your MDF layers, paint the edges of the MDF shapes with the same black paint or gesso. And because I'll be popping up the middle pieces of this pumpkin with foam adhesive later, I painted the backs of these MDF shapes too. While that paint dries, let's highlight the texture of the embossed cardstock. The Revealz cardstock has a coordinating color core, so take a Sizzix sanding block and sand down the raised areas to reveal the core. Once I'm done with that, I just like to take a microfiber towel and wipe the grit off. To add some shading to your embossed cardstock, pull out some inks. I'm using Catherine Pooler Designs Terracotta and Over Coffee, as well as Tim Holtz Distress ink in Black Soot. I use some blending brushes and randomly place these inks down on the edges of the embossed cardstock shapes. If you are enjoying this tutorial, don't forget to give this video a like and to subscribe to my channel for more inspirational content like this. Now, let's adhere the cardstock to the MDF shapes. My favorite adhesive for this is Sizzix Express Glue. This glue is super tacky and gives you just enough wiggle time to place things perfectly while also drying easily. I like to place some onto my MDF shape and then spread the glue out with a finger. I then place the matching cardstock piece on top and use a brayer to press the cardstock into the MDF and laminate the two pieces together. You can also lay some heavy acrylic stamping blocks on top of the shapes as well to ensure the cardstock doesn't curl up as the glue is drying. The brayer I'm using is part of the Sizzix Effectz multi-tool set, and we'll be using the small palette knife from this set in a moment. While the glue dries, I paint these other MDF layers. I painted the leaves, but I ended up not using them as I decided I liked the look of the resin leaves better. The resin shapes were cast from Finn's fresh foliage mold that were primed with clear gesso first. I used some Prima liquid acrylics to paint these and did 2 coats. I also find that spritzing the paint with water helps it move a little easier as well. Once the paint on the stem is dry, we can begin to adhere our MDF layers to the base shape. I start by adding express glue to the back of the stem and pressing it onto the base. I use some acrylic stamp blocks to help hold it in place. To pop up the 3 middle sections of the pumpkin, I use Scrapbook.com's black foam adhesive. Adding this foam is a great way to get even more dimension out of your layered MDF shapes. I placed 2mm thick foam on the 2 smaller sections and 2 layers of 3mm thick foam on the center section. This creates a stair-step effect to your layers. Now that the foam is on, glue down all of your other pumpkin section layers. I start with the outer sections using express glue to adhere them directly to the base. To help make sure I get the sections with the foam placed just right, I peel the backing off the foam and add express glue to the foam. This gives you the best of both worlds, the wiggle time of liquid glue and the dimension of foam adhesive. Now it's time to decorate the pumpkin. I switch out the brayer on my multi-tool for the small palette knife as I'll be using Finn's Heavy Body Gel to adhere my embellishments with. This gel gives amazing hold but has a good amount of work time, so you can move things around as you work. I always like to dry fit my embellishments before adding any glue to them. This also gives me the opportunity to cut the greens off my paper flowers as the green doesn't quite match the paint I used. Once I'm happy with the placement of the main elements, I begin to glue things down using my small palette knife to apply the gel to the backs of the molds and flowers. I also use a little bit of foam adhesive to help me achieve more dimension with the embellishments as well. For projects like this, I always like to add some lace straps. I decided to go with this cream lace with natural leaf and flower shapes. I just cut a few pieces off and glue these down under some flowers using that same gel. I also add this dimensional butterfly from Prima Marketing. I bend up the wings, add some foam adhesive to the back of the body, then glue it on top of the flower cluster. To add some sparkle to this project, I apply some clear craft glue to the edges of all of the flowers and the butterfly's body, and then sprinkle on some clear German glitter glass. I always work in sections so my glue doesn't dry before the glitter glass gets sprinkled on. Once you are done applying the glitter glass, turn your project over and lightly tap it over a piece of paper to shake off the excess. Then pour your excess glitter glass back into your container. And that's it. I hope you feel inspired to use your embossing folders for more than just cards and that you give this easy mixed media project a try. Until next time, happy crafting!